while we do that, then let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Dave Oldham. Hey, how are you doing, David?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank
Good.
you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
He was filling Eddie last week.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard.
So.
If that's possible.
Oh, I don't think so. I just did my little part.
All right, there you go.
You know what? What's his name? Williams. Remember the Tulsa Outlaws? The minor league football that used to play at Skelly Stadium.
That was before my time.
Well, he went to the Redskins and won a Super Bowl.
Really?
So I'm trying to remember the guy's name. But then...
the running back.
No, the quarterback.
Oh, the quarterback. Okay.
Great arm. So who's the historic Grambling coach? The coach forever at Grambling?
Eddie Robinson.
Yeah. So this guy took over for him, and they said, how are you going to fill his shoes? He says, you don't fill his shoes. You bronze them and put them on the mantle, and you do the best you can.
Good statement.
Yep.
Good statement. So welcome, David. David invited you, David. And so, no, listen, I know you're, David is a political wonk. You've heard of wonkiness and wonk. This guy knows the Constitution, national state, and everything else better than probably anyone I know. And
don't say that. That just encourages.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's offended. Yeah.
You'll just encourage him.
Well, I thought I was offending you because you thought you were the.
David. It's like I say, don't laugh at Andy's jokes. It'll just encourage him.
Right.
And I need all the encouragement I can get. Yeah. But anyway. We will try to hold him down. We'll try to hold him down.
It won't
because
be difficult.
He will throw an encyclopedia at you and consider it a comic book.
Yeah.
So anyway, David, once again, welcome. Thank you. And Dave, if you want to go ahead and take it from here, and
you bet.
You guys are the ones.
So, right before Christmas, our last show, we had another person in who kind of broke this story about this big mosque. And I don't mean little, we're talking mega mosque. In Broken Arrow, and then we're finding out things wrong with the placement of it, not just zoning, but infrastructure. There's no sewer out there, and yet,
I'm sure they will take care of that.
No, the city has to take care of that.
Well, actually, the problem is the applicants are refusing to join up with the sewer. They want to put in a septic instead. They want to put in a septic with the leach field basically touching a creek.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem was with the application, not that and I have learned more since I've just sat with you last week. There is sewer out there. There is sewer, but they're not willing to tie into it. Don't know why. Now the law says they don't have to. It's far enough away.
It might have pork in
it. Well, it's a sewer, but I don't know. I don't know what the rationale is. But our message is, if you're going to move into a neighborhood and you're going to buy land, you have a duty to understand what you're buying and go along with kind of the plans that the city has had long standing. Mm-hmm. You have the duty to be a good neighbor, as we all do. It's a part and parcel of our social compact that makes America work. And that's just not happened. Found an article from 11 years ago, right after they bought the property.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there was no plans for another place of gathering at this corner, and certainly not in the minds of city planners for a really large worship center of any kind in this location. Yet they bought the property, they got a good deal on it, and they decided they were gonna throw up a mosque. And they've been talking about it for 11 years. 11 years ago, they had this plan.
Oh,
so
sure.
So this is nothing new for them. It's kind of spit in the face, if you will, of the neighborhood and the city and everything else that's going on. Look, we got our hands on a piece of property. Now you got to do what we want. And that's kind of the way it's been shoved down our throats. There was no civic engagement by the applicants before the mosque application was actually presented to the city. In fact, from city people that work for the city that I have spoken with, they were cut blindsided. Mm-hmm. They did not expect it when it came through, and so there's just so many things. It's screaming not the best neighbor. Mm-hmm. And then we have so many problems. We have traffic problems that cannot be fixed. It's a 2-lane road. They're going to be holding events that, according to their article 11 years ago, was going to host up to 4,000 people. Mm. And they were talking about building this out so they didn't have to rent out the civic center or mm-hmm. the fairgrounds or something like that for some of their events. And so they're going to put up 750 parking spaces.
Ooh, that's spaces. You imagine if there's 2 people in each car. Right. Now we're talking 1,400. Well,
that's 1,400.
Well, he's talking about 4,000.
But you're talking at some events.
Yeah.
You're talking 4,000. Now sure. We're talking encroachment into other properties. Right. Hey, we put on our meeting last Tuesday, which thank you for helping us, letting us talk about it last week. But we held that, and parking overflowed so badly. People were parked along Olive Avenue.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
2 lanes, no shoulder.
No,
they literally were parked along there all the way almost to 121st Street. Some people parked in the golf course and walked. I mean, and that was for a little event that we had 350-ish people, mm-hmm. or maybe a little more than that. But
let me ask a question: how far is it going to be from the new amphitheater?
Oh, 2 miles.
Couple miles.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, so David Engel's ministry, Walnut Grove Church, is right along there.
They're the next property south.
Okay. Well, that's the Little Links Golf Club is right to the south of David Engel's.
No, they're the south of the mosque is David Engel's. Then south of that is Little Links.
Okay. So this is closer to the highway.
Oh, it's the first thing you would come to when you come off the highway. That's what you see.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you will see from the highway is this giant house of worship, whether you know, of any kind. And the question that counselors, I think, are asking, according to Christy Gillespie, it's what they should be asking. Is this what we want to have the gateway to the South Broken Arrow, because it's the first exit off the freeway, the turnpike, into this part of South Broken Arrow, is what you want, just a bunch of places of gathering, they call it. That's the legal term. Places of gathering, houses of worship, an event center, those kinds of things. Or do you want more commercial dining and stuff that draws you off? If you miss it at the first exit, you get off at the second exit, you come back, those kinds of things. And I think the answer is pretty soundly no. That's not really what's in the mind.
A friend of all of ours, Chris Medlock, former Tulsa city councilor. One day he and I were working a campaign just at the campaign office, and he says, I'm so sick of watching these closed up super centers turn into churches where they're not generating any sales tax.
Correct.
To a city councilor, it's all about maximizing the sales tax dollars.
Yes.
And so they're not,
Yeah, it has to provide public services.
Yeah, right. And because so we don't have to do bond issues all the time when we have a real need. But, so everybody's got different ideals. Now, there's a lot of people, and you and I know a bunch of them, that are truly religious right, where like, if it was some evangelical TV preacher, we'd be okay with it. But David, you were one of my libertarian mentors when I started moving that direction. So you don't have a problem with somebody wanting to peacefully, practice their Islamic religion.
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. There's and this is the point, is that there's no religious right that we're talking about here.
Mhm.
Our group certainly is not trying to stifle religion in any way, shape, or form. The only thing we are talking about is a land use issue.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, again, people are trying to cram a round peg into a square hole, and they're going to use the religious rights bludgeon to do it. That is the problem. We have other things that need to be done before any of this property is developed. Stormwater needs to be addressed.
Oh, yeah.
Traffic needs to be addressed. And then we have a frontage road that should probably be put in for security, safety for neighborhoods, and other development on the other side of the little creek that runs there toward Aspen. And then there's so many things that need to be done before it can happen. And we're looking at roads are probably 10 years out before they can widen the roads and
to handle a facility like that.
Well, to handle any development that would cause an increase of traffic flow.
To handle 4,000 people showing up to an event. Well,
for that specific, but I'm saying the entire section between 121st on the south and the Creek Turnpike is all still remaining agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's still all zoned agriculture. None of it should be changed.
So this is on the east side of the creek.
No, it's south side of the creek, east side of Aspen, or of Olive, west of Aspen.
Another problem you have, and guys, I was here back in '83 in the Memorial Day flood, and it really hit East Tulsa. Right. The reason why is the Mingo Creek just could not handle that amount of rain. But what made it 10 times worse was it was a concrete and asphalt spread that none of the water could saturate into the ground. You take something like that's at low altitude, and there's not going to be any kind of steep runoff for it. And now you've got concrete or asphalt parking that you're creating a problem for the Walnut Creek Church next door. Because if it's the direction of flow, they're going to get it.
Well, you're actually creating a problem. You're compounding a problem that extends for over 2 miles, because people are complaining now all the way down at 131st. So we're just south of 111th where this is going in, north of 121st. We have people down at 131st that are already being affected by development up closer to 121st Street. Now we're going to be adding more to it, and none of that has been addressed. And we are a number of years off before it can. Maybe up to 10. I don't know. We might be able to see it sooner than that. But again, further development, we're calling for everything just to remain as it is. And if that doesn't work for them, if they need a bigger building, then they should buy an appropriate plot of land. If they want to go somewhere and not have to deal with zoning, they need to be out in the county somewhere where they don't have to deal with a city and the proximity to everybody else. But they also like that.
Okay, so we're talking stormwater, we talk sewage. Now, the next thing is, how do you get 700 cars in and out of a facility? How many exits and entrances are they going to have?
They're going to have 2. They're 2. They dump right out on the 2-lane road.
Olive.
On Olive. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And their primary use is for prayer times at 1 p.m. So they pray at 1 p.m. and they're dumping out right about school let-out time.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the logistical and practical issues.
Right.
My issue is a little different because we've seen what's happened in Detroit, Minneapolis, now Plano, Texas is the next one.
Sure.
So what is happening is, and I don't fault the people, the current residents of the place, but we're seeing a pattern of what happens. A mosque comes in, and then the Muslims begin buying houses because your regular inhabitants don't want to be near the mosque. Now there, I think it's a little different because they have the call to prayer in the middle of the night and everything. Somehow, I don't know how the Plano City Council didn't do something with a noise ordinance about that.
Right.
But so you've got the non-Muslim community said, we can't put up with this, so they're leaving. Then more, and so now you end up having a ghetto, an Islamic ghetto developed there in Plano, Texas. You have it in Detroit. You have it in Minneapolis. You have them everywhere.
Sure.
And so this is the thing that I'm foreseeing, that what needs to happen with these city councils and the inhabitants, the public itself, because they elect all of these up there, their city councils to become Muslim dominated.
Sure.
And so they're voting all of this in, and they're using our legal system, our civic laws and rules against us because, it's a free country. But then as soon as they get in, the freedom ends, which is sad. So someone, Broken Arrow, Bixby, let this be a warning to Bixby, to Sand Springs, any other surrounding communities. Don't let this happen to you where you get sucker punched all of a sudden down there because you're trying to be accommodating and civil. You've got to foresee this, because I foresee it. I foresaw it in the late 70s and late 80s, but we have got to start taking a stand against the encroachment of Sharia, essentially, because that's where it's all, that's the real issue. We don't have anything against Islamic people. It's the Islamic laws and culture that we are standing against, and we cannot allow our country to be taken over by this. And they're using our own system and our own laws against us.
Sure.
And until we wake up and outsmart them, we're going to lose it.
Well, it's really simple. And to your point, your point is the number one thing that I am receiving calls about.
Sure.
Or text messages or emails and everything else. The concern is the tyranny creep, as really is what I would boil it down to.
That's a good point.
Because if we address it as tyranny rather than religion, if we address it as unconstitutional, because these while you can't necessarily say Sharia is illegal or unconstitutional, because nobody can actually pin down what Sharia is, because there's the Shia Sharia, there's the Sunni Sharia, there's the this and the that's and all the flavors. Nobody can pin it down, but we can pin down some of the specifics. And if we do that and we hold our Constitution where it should be and enforce it and our laws, then we're done. It's really simple. And anybody who is trying to then cram it down our throats can go to a country where they like those kinds of laws, and they should choose that. That's their right.
Right.
And so they can go to where they're more comfortable. This is a place where we are going to have freedom of the individual, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and those are going to clash in so far as we're going to have speech contests about the religion.
Yeah,
and if you don't like what's said, then you need to get out.
Yeah, but there's already laws on the books what you can't do on Sunday because it's the Lord's Day. Are you for those blue laws?
No.
Exactly.
You know me.
Yeah, I wanted them to hear it from you
because
there is hypocrisy here,
yes.
and we need to fix it.
And that's the thing, is we need to look to ourselves and the things that we have stood for a long time. I would add prohibition into the blue laws because they're part of the blue laws. But the thing is that we may believe something I literally had a former OHP officer who we all know, and he literally told me that he thought prohibition was in everyone else's best interest, and so he was going to shove it down our throats and make sure that we couldn't do what he thought was bad. And those kinds of things, those rights violations of others, is what we've got to be fighting.
Now, that's what C.S. Lewis referred to as moral busybodies, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know you love to quote that.
Yeah, I do.
And because it's absolutely fabulous and very true. And so it really, again, it doesn't matter the religion if they are tyrannical. And I would put in of this day in years past, and I've learned it's a pejorative or supposedly a pejorative. Our founders were concerned about papists.
Yes,
because because of where their allegiance was, and that the Pope was still wanting to be a political figure. Well, that runs counter to having a peaceable country. Now we have a direct, people are concerned of really abject tyranny and life and limb with Islamists. But when we look at some of our own, if you will, we have Christian dominionists who want to impose their own form of tyranny on the rest of us, and that can't stand either.
Right.
I'm glad you said that, David, because we got to be fair.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
It's how we get along. If we just get along, it's really easy, and you can't be.
All right. The funny thing is, you were in last Saturday morning. Eddie was still on the road, and we had just invaded Venezuela. We had to talk about that.
Yes, we did.
So you left here, and then the next event on your schedule regarding this was Tuesday.
Yes.
Now, I figured if you get 100 people there, that's success. How many did you get?
I think it was conservatively 350.
Wow.
And I think it was more than that, but we turned in over 300 forms.
Okay, let's talk about the forms, because I had encouraged you to do some kind of focus group. Well, you got them there of what issues are most important with them regarding this.
Right.
And you got how many forms turned in?
Around 300.
Around 300.
Around 300. So just out of that event, but we literally ran out of forms. We had to have more printed and brought in while we were holding our meeting.
Yeah.
And about 150 forms left, many of which, these green forms were going to be just put on a copier and they were going to make even more copies. So I think there are probably close to 1,000 forms floating around.
Wow.
Right now.
Now, you didn't make this form.
No.
Who did?
This is the city.
The city council.
The city council always has a form that they will use for if you want to weigh in on an issue.
Gotcha.
And so every city council that allows speaking usually does that for clarity's sake, for ease. Tulsa does the same thing, but they chose to do a different system for this particular meeting.
Really?
And so what they abandoned the normal form. If you look at the green form, it's got a box that says opposition, and it's checked for you. And then it just has a place for you to write your name and your city and state. You don't have to put on your address. And then whether you wish to speak or not before the council.
When they meet.
Which will be Monday the 12th.
That's this coming Monday.
This coming Monday. So we've only got a couple of days. And those forms then have to be turned in advance of the meeting. Starts at 6 p.m. So county clerk or the city clerk really needs to have them in hand by 5:45.
Gotcha.
They say 5:50, but if you're not trying to get them in their hands by 5:45, you could be late.
Yeah.
And so we will have volunteers with clipboards and more of these forms to fill out as you come in the door. And so you can fill one out if you haven't already, and then get inside the building and get seated.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me, I'm going to change direction a little bit.
Sure.
It'll still be in context. What is this situation of this lawsuit that David Derby.
No, we don't.
Oh, the man who shall not be named.
Oh, who has just been named?
No, you got it wrong.
I got it wrong.
Yeah, completely. So it wasn't. Yeah, it
You
wasn't.
talking about
it wasn't the former lawmaker named Derby.
Right.
No.
No, you're talking about the man who claims that I assaulted him at the meeting. Is that what you want to talk about?
The way I was reading it, it was more of a Christy Gillespie issue where he's bringing a suit against Christy.
We'll see it. We'll see it if we see it.
You had mentioned before the meeting, there were a number of you guys talking, getting everybody kind of on the same page of where we're at.
Right.
And then you said, hey, you can run cell phone video of the meeting. That's fine. But out of respect for the individual citizen who's brave enough to step forward and express their views, that part you wanted no video on.
Yes, and I announced it here last Saturday.
Yes, you did.
And I've said it repeatedly.
Okay.
And I said it at the beginning of the meeting at least once, maybe twice. Of course, these people come in late, and then when I tell them that it is that there's now no more filming, and he wants to start an incident.
Right.
The real thing is that he knows the difference between public and private meetings.
Sure.
And this was a private meeting about a public topic that does not make it public. And so he did everything he could to try to state that it was public, and his people are still lying about it, saying that it's public. And nothing could be further from the truth. This was, and everybody else in the room, except he and his minions, actually obeyed the requirement and stopped filming our proceedings. One camera, I guess, kept running in the back, but they were doing interviews with some people. They just chose to do it inside instead of outside in the cold. I didn't even see it. I was busy, but that's not a big deal.
I think the police asked them to leave.
Well, I went up to him, and that's where I supposedly assaulted him. But if you read the definition of assault, it doesn't fit.
I just assaulted you.
Yeah, that's literally what it was.
See, I tapped you on your shoulder.
And actually, you tapped him too many times.
Oh, gosh.
And so...
please don't sue me.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so the whole thing comes down to he has demonstrated himself to be a fool. He continues to do so.
Yeah. What is his issue with the whole? I mean, was he against the whole deal, or is he just trying to? They claimed to be in support of us, but in reality, I have no clue other than getting Facebook views and social media views and things like that for their channel. Other than that, I have no idea what they're into, and other than possible, and I can't say much more. I received lots of National Enquirer kind of. I'm talking the old 1970s kind of National Enquirer type phone calls, trying to trap me, get me on audio tape, recording, saying something that I shouldn't. They have doxed my cell phone number. They have they put it out on video. Played a recording that one of them had as he was pretending to be a supporter who was taken in by the thing, and I was trying to convince him that he shouldn't be listening to the guy he's actually working with. Because of the foolishness, because of the lying and the deceit and everything like that. So that sort of stuff's out there. I couldn't care less. We have an issue to win, and we will do that come Monday. And my apologies to our former
state rep.
Yeah. Poor Mr. Derby isn't even alive to discern.
Well, his father also was a lawmaker too. So.
Yeah, I apologize for some reason. I don't know why.
To defend himself.
Yes, so I do apologize.
But
I'm using
we loved David Derby because he supported us when we needed it to save elections.
I always thought very well of him, and I can't. So the real name is the name that shall not be mentioned.
Right.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. For this particular, you can talk about them as much as you want afterwards, but I'm not going to.
And I want to say, now, David, if this was like, for instance, Walnut Grove Church, which, by the way, when I first moved to Tulsa back in 1980,
Right.
that was my church, not that building, but they were up
Right.
there where you used to live up the Skelly Junior High.
Right.
They would meet in the
Yeah,
auditorium.
they built that building about 40 years ago, so not long after you would have been there.
Right. And David Engel's a longtime Christian singer, songwriter. And my parents have all his music. I mean, really.
Right.
And I knew his daughter pretty well. And and they started the church out there because when they got their radio license, in fact, that big radio tower on the Rhema campus,
Okay.
that was for him.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, Kenneth Hagin said, "Hey, you need a place big enough to put a tower. We'll put it in here on the campus." And
Okay.
so that's why it's there. Just a little bit of how close that church was with Rhema's ministry
Gotcha.
and stuff. So, because they used to travel together. I saw both of them in Minneapolis while I was teaching at the Christian school there. But anyway, if it was a small congregation, small building, small footprint, small parking lot, I don't think you and I have a problem with it. It's the size.
It would be easier, but I can tell you that I think the city would have a problem with it. Again, this corner, if developed out the way it is, even if it was small, is an economic black hole. And that is the problem because places of gathering bring no sales tax dollars to the city whatsoever.
Okay, now I'm going to go someplace with
And
it.
the problem is the city runs on sales tax in Oklahoma. It runs on sales tax 100%. And so the problem here is we're talking black holes. Spread them out, it would be a little bit different. The vision is to have commercial, and this is just all that space. You just can't do it. Eventually, once it's built, once it goes in, it ain't changing.
Yeah, the city, I think it was city of Tulsa, tried to, by eminent domain, go up there to 49th West Avenue and Highway 412, the Sand Springs Expressway.
Right.
And they tried to, by eminent domain, there's 3 churches right there in the corner, Edison, 49th West Avenue.
Okay.
Tried to bulldoze all of that, take it by eminent domain because its value for shopping
Okay.
was so great.
Right.
And I and several other people fought that.
Sure.
And I really have a problem feeling like the city, who doesn't own the property, it's private property, are telling people, you cannot use that property in a way that doesn't give us what we want in revenue from sales tax. I have a problem with that too.
I understand. Here's the problem. And that is, again, we come back to the good neighbor. The whole thing about being a good neighbor is when you buy property, you know that if you buy property in a city that it has a purpose. It's got a plan for the future, and everybody knows it. In fact, the article I read from 11 years ago cites that they knew there was a plan, yet they want to do what they want to do despite all of that.
No, I get
And
that.
so there's now, if you own the land and you've owned it, now you kind of get grandfathered in a little bit, but there still comes down to what, and I don't know why anybody would have a problem developing out a good piece of property and making money on it, because that could help finance your other building project.
Yeah, but here's the hypocrisy. Imagine it was a bank.
Sure.
No sales tax collected.
Right.
This is a problem many churches face with municipalities, is they're treated like some bastard kid because they aren't generating revenue.
Well, yes and no. And again, we're not talking about not having them somewhere.
Right.
We're just saying this
Location.
isn't the place for, and certainly not for now. Now, the point is, again, planning is, I've said it this way, that fences make good neighbors. We've all heard that.
Yeah.
Zoning makes for good neighbors.
That's a fair point.
And I have come around to that. The zoning goes way too far.
Yeah.
Get into HOAs and other things like that. We've gone way too far. But the idea that there is a plan and that plan has been on the books, in this case, the plan for two different plans have been on the books since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Probably goes back way further than that, but I know back to 1997. 1997, this was going to be residential. All of this area was going to be built out residential.
Mm-hmm.
In 19, and they bought the land anyway. By God, we're going to do what we want anyway. In 19, the comprehensive plan changed to be more commercial. The city needs more money. This area was going to grow out, and other areas were going to fill in residential. So the plan changed a bit, but you know what? Never was ever considered or would ever fit in that spot a large worship center.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And so, but yet we're gonna beat religious rights over your head until you let us do what we want with it because we bought it. And that's the problem that with the not being the great neighbor. And that's where I think there's a lot of pushback because we want good neighbors. We want neighbors that actually care about the community and want to work with the community. Zero engagement and by God, we're going to do what we want. For the last 11 years has been the attitude. That doesn't say great neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate your concerns, but everybody else's rights to be less impinged and infringed upon, their ability to get home, their ability to use the road safely, their ability to have safety vehicles run up and down as needed, their ability to not be flooded out, their ability to not have property values reduced
Mm-hmm.
because of one thing or another. Those all are equal to the religious rights. And again, we're only talking about the right to put up a development, some kind of development.
Do you remember in 2019, there was some really bad flooding in eastern Oklahoma in May, and including Broken Arrow.
Yep.
One of my kids had a house in Indian Springs,
right,
and very close to Aspen Creek, where it dumps into the Arkansas there. That whole neighborhood, that whole golf course center, all of that got shut down because their sewers were actually lower elevation than the waste treatment center off to the east of them.
Correct.
And because the power was out, we couldn't pump the sewage uphill.
Right.
And so they needed nobody flushing toilets or doing any of that.
Doing anything.
Because those toilets become the outlet
Correct.
of all the sewage. I don't know what the elevation is here where we're talking. It's probably higher. I'm sure it is.
A little bit.
But so we're dealing with things where if power goes out, sewer goes out in many of these places where they have to pump uphill.
That could be. I don't know the answer for this particular project. Again, this particular project doesn't. They haven't proposed tying into the sewer. They've proposed a 50,000 gallon septic system, which with the leach field being a very small leach field, and that leach field touches one corner, especially touches, but it's right next to the creek and the flood area.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's not ideal. I don't know why they would go that route rather than just tie into a nearby sewer, but they have so far been unwilling.
Okay.
I think it's what I alluded to earlier or talked about earlier. The pork or the non-halal that
they would be somehow back
right. They would be.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That could be. I
can't think of any other reason you wouldn't
unclean.
want to. Yeah, unclean.
Well,
right.
no, there could be there could be an argument, a religious argument made for that, and that would be why they would be doing it.
Right.
But that would again scream, okay, yeah, that's the exact reason why. If that can be shown, I'll be looking into that. If that can be shown, then most definitely they just need to move to an appropriate property.
Okay, so what you're saying is the size of the building and the number of occupants that could be there in ratio to the size of land, your footprint there. You'd like a better ratio.
It can't support it. If you can only put 700 cars in there, every car would have to be a van to put 4,000 people in that building.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Without encroaching on all of the other properties in the area. And so unless they had significantly more parking, it's not happening.
But see, here again, okay, so you say the one church is bordering it already,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How about the other sides?
No,
Well,
they're up against the highway.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but there's four sides.
To the north, you've got the turnpike. To the south, and there's going to be a frontage road that's going to clip part of their property as well, but part of the unused side, I think. But it will shrink. It might shrink some of the parking. But just given their numbers, and let's just assume that their numbers are correct. To the west of Olive is some private property. It's all private agriculture. There's a couple homes set back a ways, but you're going to get people parking along the side of the road. You're going to get people trying to drive in. You're going to get people trying to enter into the church parking lot unless they put a chain up or something like that.
But my point is, I think, see, if they have, the big problem is they have long-sighted vision. It's like, I was reading, this is like already 10, 20 years ago, reading where some imam, or maybe it's the Muslim Brotherhood, it was even bigger, saying that they're very patient. If it takes us 100, 200 years, we will take over. And so essentially, if they're already thinking about all this, and you say this is 11 years old, that 11 years ago they actually got this property, they probably already envisioned buying that other piece of land property that's a field right now.
They haven't bought it.
No, but it can't. If that's a problem, we buy that land, and then they can expand their parking. They
claim they don't have the money, so they claim they don't have the money to do all of the project because.
Well, then they definitely should be shot down. But I guarantee you, they will find that the Muslim Brotherhood will give them the money they need.
Right. Yeah, they don't even have the money to build the mosque, which is what they really want this for. It looks like they tried to sweeten the deal by putting a little strip center up toward Olive to the west side of everything, and kind of hiding the mosque a little bit behind this little strip center. But the thing is that they admitted the other day that they may never get to it. They may never actually build it. So we're only looking at a mosque, and the streets have, again, the street issues and everything else. It just doesn't work.
No, I understand.
And then the streets we're looking at 10 years minimum, and potentially a court fight, because apparently a lot of the land on the other side of the road, on the west side of Olive, is Indian-owned land. And so tribes are involved and so forth. So just to be able to widen the road may be, I'm told, could be a very involved process.
Is this near where they were attempting to, so-called tribes were trying to build a casino?
That was just north of the turnpike.
Yeah,
just north of this.
That's right. There was the tribe. Yeah, and then you go south over the highway, the turnpike, and then it's off to the left. This is where the mosque wants to be. That's where the casino wanted to be. So yeah, we're talking with
nobody else can see it.
But I'm helping Eddie because he's still trying to picture this.
Yeah, but it's just funny to me that square mile or less of land there
Yeah.
has been
has
so
been so controversial.
A lot of drama.
Yeah. Drama
Okay.
corner.
Casino, mosque. I think at this point, we'd rather see a casino. A lot of people would rather see the casino. and they're just saying, darn it, we should have let the casino come in because they could keep the mosque out, and nobody wants to be across from a casino, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just kind of funny.
I'm glad neither one. At this point, I'm glad neither one went in because of all the problems I have seen.
Yeah.
And just that it would have been premature given the to develop everything out without fixing all of the downstream problems.
Yeah. It's going to be a problem. And see, that's the thing that the Muslim international leaders have figured out, that it's something that what's his name? Leclerc. What's his? De Klerk. Yeah. Spoke of yesterday, that our laws and our version of democracy, our republic, those laws would end up killing us.
We would just have to enforce what we've got. Great laws.
No. Well, yeah, but the democracy, our version of democracy, which is the Republican version, but will be used against us.
And you bring up a very good point, and now I get to get on my constitutional soapbox for a second.
Here we go, folks.
Well, no, because it's something we have lost. And that is, we are not a pure democracy. We are a Republican form of democracy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And quite frankly, much too much is considered that is unconstitutional and put up for a vote as though it was legit. And in reality, under a Republican form, that would never see the light of day. We could talk about it, but ultimately it's never even going to come up for a vote because it can never be enacted. Because as soon as it should be shot down as illegal because it's unconstitutional. And so we're going to have to get back to thinking like this. There's too much of our government that we allow to run unconstitutionally. We take votes. We have whole elections on illegal topics. And we have one coming up. And constitutionally, that election would not exist if we were actually following it.
Hey, I want to do this by comparison. 1980, Rhema Bible Training Center had just built some new buildings, and I was in some of those buildings. I was the first class that was there, and at orientation, the mayor of Broken Arrow came out to personally greet us.
Sure,
glad to have us in. The massive amount of parking that takes up their footprint is huge.
Yeah.
Compared to the buildings. Now, the Rhema Bible Church building, which, if you remember, Clay Clark had a big rally there not long after the famous January 6th incident.
Okay.
And there's about 4,500 that they squeezed into that building. That's about max. So if you're talking about having an event here at this mosque location, 4,000.
And that's their number.
Right.
They threw that.
But I'm looking at the footprint here.
Does it work?
This land that they want to develop on is less than half of the size of the Rhema land.
And they're only using half of the size that they have. Remember that they own 14 acres, 13 to 15 acres, somewhere in there. And they can only use a little less than 8.
Yeah.
Because of the creek and everything like that. Now they could potentially put a bridge over to the other side and have some more parking out back. They have not proposed that.
Yeah.
So that is not up for our consideration. We're going to have to fit with what they're telling us, and what they're telling us doesn't just. There's no way that it can work unless every car was a multi-passenger van.
Right. What they're wanting to use the property for pretty much matches in capacity what Rhema's doing, and Rhema needed twice the property to do that responsibly.
Right.
And you still have cops out directing traffic after every Rhema event. Right. And I
that's
mean,
on 71st Street.
That's on 71st.
And that's 5 lanes.
Yeah.
Now, 5 lanes
Right,
wide.
exactly.
Right. Now, Rhema, when they bought that property in like 79, it was warehouse district.
Right.
And sure they had some frontage, but the old Rhema Bible Church building was all that was there. Everything else they built.
Sure.
And boy, the amount of concrete they put in.
Right.
The good thing with Rhema is they had a good Stormwater Creek, that park that everybody goes sees the Christmas lights in this park.
Oh, right.
And that Rhema paid for all of that as part of their stormwater runoff.
Right.
Because they valued their property, and you have to do that when you've got so much concrete where none of it can get absorbed.
Well, here's the thing is, again, when you're talking stormwater, sure, everybody's going to be required to deal with the stormwater, but they're only dealing with the stormwater on their property. We're talking another 1.5 miles down the road that's affected, and the rest of the way on that stormwater runoff goes all the way down to the Arkansas.
Yeah.
So we're talking, we may even, I don't think that area, it might actually cross into Bixby, unless it runs into the creek first. I can't remember if there's a section of Bixby that's underneath there, but we have considerations that go beyond just this development and what they can do. Yeah, it would be nice if they developed it nicely, but again, we have reasons that they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. Okay.
So if people want to speak to the city council, when and where do they need to be? Because this is coming up in Monday.
First off, tune in to Facebook. Go to Constitutional Grounds Facebook page. Find out all of the information there. But you will see us passing these forms out at NSU Broken Arrow. So it will be at the NSU campus in the Administrative Services Building.
Is that where they normally meet?
No, that is not. It is because of the great response or the tremendous response that they have had to move it to someplace bigger. So I think the city council can hold up to maybe 100 people.
Yeah.
So they've gotten about 850 seats. So you'll still need to show up early. We still expect it to be standing room only.
David, I thought you'd maybe have, if we did this right, you'd have 100 people show up, and you had over 300.
And I would have been ecstatic.
Yes.
And I think we had well over 300.
Okay, so the city council's right to be concerned about facilitating.
Oh, yeah, that was just our little group at a single meeting. We've had all sorts of people. I mean, there's just tons of people outside of anybody that came and talked with us that is concerned. And so, yes, it is both in opposition and for, but the opposition vastly outstrips the proponents.
Okay. So Monday, boy, you better be there, not at 5:45. But
no, doors open at 5.
Yeah.
You want to be there actually ahead of that.
Yeah. All right. David's doing a tailgate party in the parking lot.
We will be.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they can stop by and get forms from you, even out in the parking lot.
We will have volunteers with clipboards and forms so that you can fill them out on the way in. You will give them to the clerk, but we will be helping you, facilitating anything and everything we can to get as many of the public a chance to voice their opinion as possible.
Good.
All right, David. Hey, thank you. We will definitely keep this on the front burner.
Yeah.
And listen, above all, prayer. Prayer. Just pray against this, because we haven't got, and we won't get into the spiritual aspect and other aspects of this whole issue.
It's rough.
Right. But we can ask you just to pray and see an outcome. David, thanks again, and we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back.